Welcome to Mainland, your local regional television station. I'm Tania Omar, and some of the stories coming up in today's news: fire in Nelson restaurant, concern for elderly, users get to have a say in Rabbit Island use, and more. Smoke was seen billowing out of a window in the upper level of the Lone Star restaurant building on Hardy Street around 11:50 p.m. on Monday evening, which saw 5 appliances from both Nelson and Stoke called to the scene at the popular eatery. Fire Southern Communications Shift Manager Andrew Norris said that there was only moderate damage to the upstairs area and it was unclear if there was any water damage to the bottom floor. Norris said that fire crews managed to gain control of the fire within 30 minutes and that fire investigator Robert Dalton from Blenheim would be visiting the restaurant on Tuesday to determine the official cause of the fire, which he told Mainland Television he believed was a clothes dryer. Former police officer and recently new owner of Lone Star, Nelson, Steve, said that the small fire isn't going to hamper business and they will be open from Tuesday evening as usual. We have an update on yesterday's permitted fire in Richmond near the Appleby Strait turnoff, which sent thick black toxic smoke into the area. Richmond Volunteer Fire Brigade attended the fire and spent an hour and a half putting it out, with officers having to wear protective clothing and breathing apparatus after a fiberglass boat had been put on the fire to burn. The fire permit issued was for green waste only. Council spokesman Chris Choate told Mainland News that Tasman Council will be pursuing a prosecution under the Resource Management Act. The maximum, as opposed to potential sentence, is $300,000 or 2 years imprisonment. He said council cannot predetermine what the court's decision may be.
In breaking news, a body has been found in the Buller River near Murchison. Police can confirm that they have found the body of a female in the Buller River late this morning during a search and rescue operation. The body is yet to be formally identified and police have no further comment at this stage.
Nelson Police are seeking anyone who may be able to help confirm a sighting of a female hitchhiker in the Richmond area on Sunday, as they continue their inquiries in locating missing Wakefield woman Rachel Stokes. A member of the public has reported a sighting of a female hitchhiker along Gladstone Road northbound towards Richmond near the Gold Pine shops on Sunday. The female carried a black shoulder bag with a long strap over her shoulder. Anyone who saw or picked up a female matching this description along this stretch of road is asked to contact police on Nelson 5463 840. Ageing is a concern, and as we get older we can become more vulnerable to being scammed. Chrissy Small spoke with Sue Tilby and Malcolm Drummond of Age Concern about this issue and more.
Now Malcolm, self-neglect, as you get older sometimes it gets harder to look after yourself. Is there a lot of that in the community?
We are noticing an increase in reported cases of neglect or self-neglect, whereby people are struggling to maintain a standard of living that we would consider to be healthy. In saying that, I would just like to point out that the vast majority, or very much the vast majority of families do look after their older people and their older relations and really do care for them. So it's important not to get away from the fact that we only deal with the more crisis situations. But we do get those cases, and we're averaging around about 1 call a week whereby a family member has noticed that their auntie or grandparent, great-grandparent is struggling through self-neglect, and what to do about it, because it's very difficult. We can't necessarily go into a house and say, listen, this is unacceptable for you to live like this. They may actually feel more comfortable living that way. It's not what we believe how they should live, but if it's still unhealthy, we need to make sure that person is safe and not at risk.
Right. Do you think that there's a correlation between struggling financially and this kind of neglect? Do you think that kind of affects people?
I do. There are some people in our community who finance is a part of that. It's not all of it, but it certainly is a part of that ability to be able to care for themselves. And it's through what we were talking about before. Sometimes they may be the victim of a scam, or even theft of their own savings from family members or associates or friends, and that does happen. And there is a definite link between the level of poverty and the way that people are living in the older community.
Do you think there is we're going into winter now, do you think you'll be seeing more hardship amongst the elderly because, of course, costs go up with heating? In Nelson now there are certain areas that can't have a fireplace anymore, so they're reliant on electricity that they can't pay for. Do you see an increase around this time of the year as we're going into winter?
We most definitely do. We're also part of the Healthy Homes project, which means that people who are living in cold houses can apply to get their houses insulated. So if anyone is struggling financially and their house is not insulated, they could call us. But often we hear sad stories about people that don't get out of bed because they can't afford to pay the power. So yes, it does impact very much so on people's living over winter. Particularly last year, it was an extremely cold winter, and the problems and health problems rose dramatically with people with breathing problems, etc., living in cold, damp houses. So yes, people are staying in their homes longer. It's not as easy to get into rest home care. So there are a lot of very elderly people living in their homes.
In recent times, we kind of want the community to look out for these older people and make sure that they're kept safe and they're not exploited. In a recent situation here in Nelson, we had a postie who took it upon herself to not deliver scam mail. What are your views on that?
Well, I wouldn't like to pass comment on what the postie did per se, but we are seeing the effects of a huge amount of scam mail being delivered to people and the outcomes from that. Some people, unfortunately, are very vulnerable and they will pick up these beautiful glossy brochures that look very professional and respond to them, sending money off. So we're trying to deal with that as a problem and encourage people not to get themselves into that situation to receive scam mail.
Right. Okay, now we know that it's not just through the post, don't we, Mel? These scams happen on the internet. Can you tell me a bit about what Age Concern can do to help the elderly in that respect?
Well, as an organisation, we can provide advice, support and ongoing referrals to relevant agencies to assist anyone that finds themselves in a position where they are parting with their hard-earned savings to people who target vulnerable people. And unfortunately there are members of our age community who do find themselves in that position. And we would like to help them because if they are losing their savings, the chances of getting them back is, to be quite honest, zero, because a lot of the scams are offshore. And we would like to see those people helped early and us notified earlier. And one of the ways of doing that is, like yourself, is to be able to look at your older parents or aunties and uncles or whatever it may be, just to make sure that they aren't being targeted, and talk to them about it freely. I think that's a really important thing, and we as an organisation are in a position to help out if needed.
Right. And you can send people out to see some of these elderly people if they're unable to get here?
Absolutely. We'll do all sorts of visits anywhere to try and help people. We're also really big on trying to prevent this problem as well. So one of the things that we've got coming up is an education workshop presentation by John Parsons, who's very well known around internet safety, scams, including scam mails, text messaging, etc. He does a really good presentation. That's the 17th of June, so if anyone did want to know more about that, they could phone us at our office. But we are seeing with people using the internet more that there is a lot more serious scamming going on, including unfortunate relationships being established online. And we had one lady that lost all of her savings, all her house included, waiting for her knight in shining armour, so to speak, coming from overseas, who never did arrive.
That's one of the things that you've got coming up with John Parsons on internet safety. Anything else on the boiler for some of our elderly?
We've got a very exciting date booked with a very exciting man. He's a man that talks about the brain, but he talks about it in a wonderful, positive, funny way. His name is Matthew Parsons. He's coming down from Auckland on the 7th of June to do a presentation at the Oval Stadium in Richmond. And he will be talking about staying fit in older age and the older ageing brain. But don't be put off by that title, because it will be an incredible presentation. Also, we've got World Elder Abuse Day on the 15th of June, and that whole week we will be doing events around either highlighting the problems with elder abuse and self-neglect, or we'll be doing something fun. So if anyone is interested in being involved, particularly on the 15th of June, give us a call and we'll share our secret information about what we've got planned.
Sounds good. Okay, well, so thank you so much for your time today, and it's wonderful to know that there's such a great organisation as Age Concern here, keeping a lookout for our most vulnerable.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chrissy.
A long-standing slow-burning issue between ratepayers and council is the banning of wood burners in certain airshed locations in Nelson. Graham O'Brien is one of the wood burner lobby group members, asking council to change their rules to accommodate up-to-date cleaner burning wood burner technology so that areas banned from using burners can install and use the modern burners. As a concerned ratepayer, he attended the wood burner hearings last week. Okay, Graham, so you went to the wood burner hearings. How did it go?
Well, for myself and our wood burner lobby group, it was pretty disappointing. We were under the impression that the commissioners there could choose from one of the three options, even though it wouldn't have been the one recommended by council. This is what was told in a council meeting by Claire Barton to a question by Councillor Ackland. But when we were there and when we were preparing our submission, we got into a conversation with the commissioners, and they said, no, that's not possible. They're there and under the scope that's been given to them to only consider the one option that was put before them, which is wood burners in two of the air sheds, which is the air shed out Adify Way and Stoke. So nothing else could be considered. So we based our whole submission around changing their mind and putting forward a good argument. And they basically said that can't be done, though they said it wasn't a waste of time, but basically I have a different point of view of that one.
So is it pretty much the end of it?
Well, we still have to wait for the commissioners to come back, of course, and what they're saying. I've also written to the mayor, because in that, during the whole proceedings, there seemed to be a lot of confusion about what the scope was. Even the commissioners asked questions to council's lawyer, who was very wishy-washy on it, and the commissioners were very worried about the council ending up in High Court if they went outside of the scope. So I've asked the mayor for council lawyers to give us a definitive answer what the scope was, because we have two completely opposite things going on here, and I think that's not a very good start to what's been such a big issue.
And what was the City Council's response to public feedback?
Well, in their report, basically nothing, which was very disappointing. They seem to have they've made no mention or given any weight to the 800 signatures given to them previously. There was nothing seemed to address all the concerns from the two public meetings, which about 300 people attended, and council took copious notes on. You know, those people were asking for an affordable way of putting heat into their homes, especially people who had missed out on the cut-off date. And it didn't address that at all, and it didn't really address the areas we feel that there is, that have the problems, which of course is the air sheds down in Victory and in Stoke. into Hoona,
Okay,
sorry.
so how would you sum it up for the Nelson people?
You're in the same boat with nothing changing. Council administration and council seem to once again written it in such a way that it makes the scope so narrow that you can only get what they wanted originally, and there was really nothing was really taken into account. I mean, you've got to remember, and one of the worst things I felt about reading through the submissions is that we've driven down, over the last 10 years, we've driven down the emissions from 58% and 77% respectively through the different airsheds. But council wants 33 to 66% of government standards. So that's below 33% of government standards. My question is, why are we going below government standards? I mean, that's the standard, let's meet it. And there's capacity, we believe, in all airsheds, so we can put wood burners in to capacity. We once again are the only council in the country who have a sinking lid on wood burners. Like, it's always going to be driven down. We're policing wood burners where we should be policing smoke. If we have no smoke coming out of chimneys, everyone can have a wood burner. And that's the one other issue, is that what they said is another 10% could be gained by a behaviour change program. Well, this behaviour change program is what every other council has done from the beginning. Nelson Council went through enforcement, taking wood burners off everyone. No one else has done this. So we're still the only council who is saying only a few people here can have it, only a few people here can have it. It's just diabolical, it's draconian. And one of the most unsavoury things I feel came out of this was industry put in submissions saying that they felt any capacity they should have some of. So that's one issue. And the other issue is that already council has allowed a 10% increase in industry standards. So while the wood burner is getting pushed down, people seem to be suffering all these hardships of massive power bills, cold homes, illnesses. Industry is once again given another 10%. No one else has allowed a 10% increase.
Well, thanks, Graham. We appreciate your informed feedback.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
The Commissioner for the Environment, Jan Wright's latest report questions the assumptions and models that the air plan is based on. The Healthy Homes Guarantee Bill has passed its first reading in Parliament and now goes to Select Committee. The motivation around this bill is said to be able to prevent inadequate housing contributing to sickness, especially amongst children, through minimum standards of heating, ventilation and drainage. Mainland spoke with local representative for landlords, Glenn Morris, Secretary of the Property Investors Association in Nelson. Well, thank you for joining us today, Glenn. Appreciate your time. On the face of it, the Healthy Homes Bill looks like a good piece of legislation. As a landlord, would you agree?
No, it's misaimed. The intention is excellent, but the solution is flawed.
And why is that?
Well, what they're looking at is trying to help these poor children, and I hope there's no landlord in New Zealand that's not concerned about the health of children. But what they're saying is you've got to do a range of different things to help these particular sick children, and what they're suggesting is not actually going to solve that problem. The particular house or particular child is quoted that the poor child died, who was in a Housing New Zealand house, and they said that they died, or the coroner said they died because there were problems with the house. And those problems were that it was cold and it was damp. But in actual fact, the house they were in was insulated, had heating, and had a ventilation system. And I've looked at the picture of the house, and they talked about a leak in the roof or in the hallway, and it looks like it was probably, my wild guess is, that it was probably through a bit of clear light roofing over sort of a passageway and probably somebody walked on that roofing and made it leak, which is pretty common. So I think that really what they're looking at is hitting a whole 500,000 houses, which are rentals in New Zealand, to solve a problem which is not actually going to solve that problem. It's the problem is much deeper than just a few things.
And with the rental properties, who is it going to hit in the pocket?
It's going to hurt mostly tenants. Landlords are just one of these sort of people or group of people that if you sort of try to shoot them, they just sort of move around that and will buy something different or do all these things that the people want. It's exactly the same as the fires in Nelson, log fires. The council said, we're going to fix this here. And so they said, well, what are you going to do? They said, well, we're going to do what we're told. We're going to take the fires out. We're going to put a different heating system in. Yeah, we suffer a loss, but we get over it. And so if we have to spend some more money, yeah, sure, we won't like it, but we'll stay in business. We're committed to this business, and with billions of dollars worth of investment collectively. And we're not going to go away, but someone's going to be hurt, and the people that are going to be hurt are the most vulnerable, the people that can't afford a slight rent increase.
And what is your understanding of the standard of rental properties in Nelson?
I've managed a lot of properties. I had a reputation for dealing with some of the more difficult ones, and when we sold up, we sort of divvied them up as to the quality and who got what rental. And I had about 10% that were lower grade. When I say lower grade, like quite old, over 100 years old, that sort of thing. But I think across the board, most of them are a lot bigger percentage are better. So I would think maybe you might be looking at 2 or 3% in Nelson would be really low grade. And when I say low grade, I mean as in maybe over 100 years old, or certainly built in the 1920s, 30s, which are built at a time when quality is not good. But by the same token, some of the new properties we had, like a Norrie Place, to quote an example, brand new subdivision, with double insulation and heat pump, all that, we had a situation there where the bedroom actually had a lot of condensation on the walls. And we just, it's always depended on more than just a building thing. It was to do with people.
So besides the solution that this bill is sort of saying and the media is going to help sick children and things like that, isn't it a good thing for there to be a standard for rental properties to, come up to?
Right, there already is multiple standards. And so it's already covered by a range of things. In one of the main check for landlords at the moment is the Residential Tenancies Act. But there's the City Council out there with their clipboards as well, and also Health Department and everything else. So when we have vulnerable children, we've got a lot of social people, such as from the hospital or wherever, public health system going through these houses, looking at them. So it's not just a rotten old landlord and a poor innocent tenant out there all alone by themselves. There's a lot of people wrapping around these people that need to be looked after, but they're not all very successful in achieving what we would hope.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Mr Morris also mentioned his concerns at details in the bill which could infringe on people's privacy. For example, how exactly will landlords monitor adequate temperatures in a tenant's home without encroaching on their privacy? There are approximately 10,000 rental properties in the Nelson region. Tasman District Council have finished writing the draft reserve management plan for Moturoa Rabbit Island after receiving feedback from the public and community groups, including local iwi. We asked City Councillor Judine Edgar to comment on the draft, which now goes out for formal consultation. She told Mainland that they really need more feedback from the public, as they really want to get the balance right between all groups accessing the area. Consideration of health and safety has gone into the planning, but there's always the human element, which means that even if they get all the warnings and signposting right, there are still stories of people, even school groups, walking through the logging areas. With many different user groups to make happy, in her opinion, Councillor Edgar believes they have the key essence right, and that is maintaining the island as a commercial-free area. One new development in the plan is the development of a Grade 2 mountain biking park, so children and families can enjoy mountain biking at an entry level, something the Mountain Biking Club has highlighted as a need for Nelson. Council have had 2 months consultation before writing up the draft and received feedback from more than 660 individuals and community groups. Councillor Edgar emphasised the need for more public feedback and noted Council have put letterboxes at Rabbit Island for the public to submit their feedback in, or alternately through the TDC website at tasman.govt/feedback. under Policy Public Consultation. After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Hi there, Julian Toon, Waimea Telecommunications. We install and maintain domestic and commercial satellite TV, UHF Freeview and Mainland TV installations in the Nelson, Tasman regions. We specialise in Panasonic telephone systems and provide communications, Wi-Fi, IT and wiring for internet, fibre, computers and DSL systems. At Waimea Telecommunications, we also provide specialist electronic systems for features such as a security camera you can watch on your TV, visitor alert systems and much more. Improve your security and communication and entertainment today. Call us on Waimea Telecommunications on 021 472297. ytel.co.nz.
We're the team at JCar, right here in Nelson, 120 Hardy Street. Our shop is full of electronic items,
including security alarm systems, electronic components,
solar and power,
electronics toys,
sound systems, cables and much, much more. JCar.
120 Hardy Street, Nelson.
World War I was a defining period in our history, impacting greatly on the lives of people from the Nelson province. Memories of the First World War is an exhibition which will be displayed in a number of regional venues and is currently on at the Nelson Provincial Museum.
Trans-Pacific Partnership Roadshow is coming to Nelson on Wednesday the 11th of May at Founders Park at 9 a.m. until 12:25 p.m. Registration is required to be able to attend on the link provided. On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thank you for joining us, and we'll bring you the latest news and events from around the region again tomorrow.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
Hi, I'm John Crouch. I'm Crafer Crouch Construction. We're general contractors here. We specialise in drainage, earthworks, concrete, gravel supplies. We have our own mobile crushers. So for all your contract requirements, call us on 5783 475 Blenheim or in 5736 119 Picton.